KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. We need your help to capture this fugitive. Francisco Molina Nieve has been on the run since March 2008. The police and the FBI need your help tracking this coward down. He's wanted for brutally beating his girlfriend and for the use of a firearm. He has 3 freckles and a crescent shape under his right eye. Call the Colorado FBI at 303-629-7171 if you know where he's hiding.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV Appliance, and you, when only the best will do. Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want. Save now on Frigidaire's Advanced Affinity Laundry Pair. Let Frigidaire save you energy, water, and time. Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
We need help to find this missing child. Delano Wilson was 1 month old when he went missing. He was last seen in Indianapolis, Indiana, August 27th of 2014. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Delano Wilson home. We need help to find this missing child. Hallie Cummings was 7 when she went missing. She was last seen in Satsuma, Florida in February of 2009. This is what we believe she looks like today at age 11. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Hallie Cummings home.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
We need help to find this missing child. April Andrews went missing when she was 15 years old. She was last seen in Pea Ridge, Arkansas in November of 2006. This is what we believe she looks like today at 23. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring April Andrews home.
Take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KBBC Digital Channel 13.7.
Hi, I'm John Malice. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Wednesday morning. Today we've got some breaking news out of Merced. There's some people, students there, stabbed. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. And we'll also talk during the course of this program, this talk show, about rape. That's right, rape. It goes underreported in most situations. We'll talk about that. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Back in just a moment. Back here on the program on a Wednesday morning, I'm so glad that you are here. And before we get into anything, I do want to give you some breaking news right now. There have been 5 students up at UC Merced that were stabbed this morning. The suspect was shot and killed by campus police. Now, all the victims were conscious, as we understand. 2 students were taken by helicopter to a local hospital, and the other 3 are being treated on campus. The campus is closed right now. The CHP, the California Highway Patrol, is diverting traffic around the campus on Lake Road and Bellevue Road. So once again, the breaking news out of UC Merced, 5 students were stabbed this morning, and it all happened at the COB. That would be the classroom and office building on campus. And so the suspect, as we understand, shot and killed by campus police. This all happened just within the last hour or so up at UC Merced. So if you have a relative, perhaps a son, a daughter, maybe a nephew or a niece that go up there, maybe some grandkids that go up there, you might want to be in contact with them, or maybe they've already contacted you by cell phone to let you know that they are okay. But the 5 students apparently are going to be okay, the 5 that were stabbed, but the suspect shot dead by campus police. Okay, time to get into the program today, and time to remind you that you are watching us live on Comcast Channel 375. That would be Xfinity if you are watching us on Comcast Cable. And if you're over-the-air broadcast, it's 43.6 and 13.1 as usual. See, you don't have to have cable to watch this program. Anyway, the replay comes later in the day, my friends, and it is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on 13.6, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV, and the Twitter account has not changed one bit. It's at John Mallows Me TV. So, aside from that breaking news that we have up at UC Merced with the 5 students stabbed, they're going to be okay, apparently, according to officials there. The student or the suspect that was responsible for that stabbing shot dead by campus police. Let's kind of change topics now and talk about the main focus of our program today, which is about rape. You know, when we think about rape, maybe we think about a third world country, like overseas, someplace in Africa, someplace in the Middle East, perhaps during war, like the Armenian genocide, perhaps the Jewish Holocaust. But did you know that according to some reports, the United States of America is in the top 3, it's 3rd around the world in terms of the most rapes reported? I want to put up a graphic on the screen right now and show you exactly where the United States of America stands next to the rest of the world. We actually have the top 10 right there. Let's leave that up there. Let's leave the first 5 up there for a moment. There it is. The United States is behind South Africa and Sweden, who hold down the top spots. As you see there, England and Wales are tied for 4th, followed by India. And then the next 5, the bottom 5, if we could change the graphic, you'll see it's New Zealand, Canada, Australia, Zimbabwe, and Denmark and Finland are tied for 10th. Let's leave that graphic up there for just a moment so we can kind of digest it. The one case in the country making national headlines the last month was that of 20-year-old Owen Laurie, or Labrie, I should say, convicted of sexually assaulting a young girl at St. Paul's, an elite prep school in New Hampshire. The jury acquitted him of the most serious charge, felony rape. We get this report now from Inside Edition.
And while initially Camelot will shield the family from controversy, the next generation of Kennedys will take its protection for granted.
The verdict is in at the rape trial riveting the nation.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. 19-year-old former prep school student Owen Labrie breaks down as he's found guilty of misdemeanor sexual assault and 1 felony count of using a computer to seduce a minor.
A Fox News alert, a verdict has been reached in the New Hampshire prep school rape trial.
A jury has now returned a mixed verdict.
But the jury returned a split verdict, finding Labrie not guilty of felony rape. Labrie was accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old freshman at elite St. Paul's prep school in New Hampshire as part of the ritual known as Senior Salute, where graduating seniors compete to have sex with younger students. The victim cried in the courtroom as the verdict was announced, and her family released this statement. Today, a measure of justice has been served for victims of sexual violence. While he was not convicted on all charges, Owen Labrie was held accountable in some way by a jury of his peers for crimes he committed against our daughter. There is no joy in this outcome, however, as our daughter can never get back what she has lost. The dramatic trial lasted 2 weeks. The victim broke down, testifying that Labrie took her to an attic in the school's science building 2 days before graduation.
I was raped. I was violated in so many ways.
Labrie took the stand in his own defense and denied they had sex, saying he had second thoughts.
I thought to myself, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Labrie had planned to attend Harvard Divinity School. Now he faces a sentence of years in prison for sexual assault.
Live in our studio right there is Monte Jewell, the Executive Director of the Rape Counseling Services here in the city of Fresno. He is here to talk about rape, not only in this country, but overseas, and how it is an underreported crime. 436-ME-TV, option 11 is the telephone number here. We're going to be back with our program in just a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
After God created the world, He made man and woman. Then, to keep the whole thing from collapsing, He invented humor.
Sub, a perfect reason to rejoice. A distinctly positioned channel in the crowded Hindi general entertainment channel space. It is India's only family comedy entertainment channel with a core brand promise of असली मजा सबके साथ आता है.
देख रहा हूँ.
Which means celebrate the joy of being together. Taking humor as a universal language, the shows on Sub are light-hearted and make up for an enjoyable family viewing experience. Indeed.
असली मजाक सबके साथ आता है.
अब तो सबको पता है यार.
Zob TV is now on digital channel 31.8.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
We're back here on the program. Connect with me on Me TV Fresno. I'm glad you're here. Monte Jewell is here from the Rape Counseling Services. Good to see you, Monte. How are you?
Hi, John.
All right. Let's talk about the breaking news at the top of the stabbings. Of course, that's not a rape case, but we're seeing this more and more and more across the country. You deal in violent crime. This violence that's happening on campuses around the country is almost, it's almost like an epidemic, is it not?
I think that's a good word. Epidemic is precisely the word I would use.
Yeah. What do you think the reason for that is?
You know, it's hard to say. I think that it's complicated. We tend to look at any kind of non-consensual violence, rape, being obviously the primary type of violence.
It's one of the most violent crimes, rape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no question about it. But these 5 students, of course, in Merced, all 5 of which apparently are going to be okay, according to the officials there, they were stabbed, but still, nonetheless, a violent crime. What do you think the reason for the epidemic is, as it's been described many times before?
It's difficult to pin down. I think there are a lot of legal professionals and academics who are, thinking about that particular problem. But I like the word epidemic that you use because it highlights the public health aspect. Whether it's more traditional kind of violence or non-consensual sex, trauma is the outcome, and folks can suffer from trauma and are suffering from trauma in epidemic proportions.
But do you think people are doing this to get and gain attention? They want their 15 seconds of fame, even if they die, such as the suspect did today, shot and killed by campus police? Or is it a statement that I'm unhappy with the world, things aren't going my way, so I'm going to take it out on someone else?
It's hard not to wonder if there aren't mental health issues, that there's not some sort of severe mental health impairment that increases the risk that someone would assault someone else. That's not to excuse the behavior, obviously, but we don't have enough mental health services in the country.
I keep hearing that over and over and over again. You know how many years I've been hearing that, especially here in Fresno County? The question is, why do we keep saying that, and why don't we get more? I mean, we have these politicians that we elect, whether it be members of the Fresno City Council, whether it be members of the Board of Supervisors, it doesn't matter. We have state officials that are elected. Why don't we have more mental health services for people that need it?
We've lived through an era of extreme consciousness of cost, and mental health services are arguably expensive. I don't know that it's more expensive than, you know, having to grieve victims of a violent crime, you know, like the families of the victims this morning are going to have to do. But cost is often the frequently cited reason for not increasing mental health services.
Yeah, it's amazing that we keep talking about it, yet we don't allow or allot enough money in certain areas for the services to be provided for those who do have mental problems. And we also have people that are walking around taking drugs that shouldn't be. That's also a mental health problem.
I think it can be a symptom of trauma, to have heightened anxiety or depression, and it's true that.
But can they be over-medicated?
Well, I would say, I would imagine, not speaking as a medical professional, but I do think it's not uncommon for someone to attempt to self-medicate to try to resolve the symptoms of anxiety or depression, and that through alcoholism or other kinds of chemical dependency or prescription drugs.
You know, the other danger that we see, and we're going to get into the rape aspect of this because we have plenty of time on the show, but it seems to me like we are an over-medicated society to a certain extent too. You know, you see it all the time. People are on medication, they're taking all kinds of drugs for this, that, and the other thing. And it didn't used to be that way, you know, in the early days. You know, in my day growing up, you know, if you had a headache, you took 2 aspirin and went to bed. Now it seems like we're overly medicated on every little thing. We have to take a pill. You know, something bothers me, take a pill.
It's true that in the 60s and 50s, it was more common to find people who were had severe mental health issues housed in an asylum, but that was before Thorazine and other kinds of treatments became available. Maybe now we've swung too far the other way.
Yeah, I want to talk about the top 10 countries that have the most rape crimes, and I do want to put that graphic back up on the screen here. Let's go to the top 5 first. We do have a phone call, but I'm going to take that a little bit later on.
Okay.
The top 10 countries, there you see it, the United States of America, 3rd around the world, according to most polls that I've seen. There you have England and Wales. India is number 5. New Zealand is number 6. Canada, Australia, Zimbabwe. Denmark and Finland tied for 10th. What do you make of that?
I'm glad that you shared this graphic, John. I don't know that it is entirely bad news to see the United States at number 3.
We were at the top of the list at one time and fell back to number 3.
Well, the reason I think that there may be positive news mixed in there is that rape or any kind of trauma resulting from non-consensual sex is a sort of trauma, it's a sort of experience people don't want to talk about. And so when I see... Well, and there are complicated reasons. People may not feel...
Hang on, caller.
They may feel wrongly responsible for what happened. They may question their own decisions or blame themselves, again, wrongly. and or want to put it behind them. But for whatever reason, if they don't talk about that trauma that they experience, and there's not an opportunity to look for healing. And so to see the United States at number 3 causes me to wonder whether there is more effort to talk about that problem and more comfort.
More people coming forward?
Yeah, more reporting and more requests for help. I don't know that, but that's, that's the first response I have when I look at the graphic.
Yeah, and about this this Owen Labrie character, this guy that was convicted of misdemeanor sexual assault, he's going to have to go to jail for a year, and he'll serve probation time, but he could have got a more severe sentence. There's no question about it. He's the prep student, of course, in New Hampshire. What do you make of that? A 20-year-old who is, 2 years ago he was 18. The victim was 15. She testified. They did not show her on television. The victim was held. Her identity was withheld, but she testified, and he claimed it was consensual. Is it? I mean, this was a high-profile case for the better part of a month on national TV. And how do you prove a case like this? How do you know who's telling the truth? Is he lying or is she lying?
Well, we have juries, and I think that's the in a criminal case we're stuck putting our faith in the jury.
And forensic evidence.
That's true. The juries will consider the results often of a sexual assault forensic exam if there's a dispute about whether the sexual contact occurred. But you're also right, John, that frequently there's an element of coercion, and a defense that is frequently used, as the defendant in this case used, is that it was consensual contact.
Is it a matter of who? I mean, yeah, forensic evidence. It's irrefutable. You can't argue with the facts, the medical facts. They are what they are. It's like doing an autopsy. They are what they are, right? So it's kind of like watching CSI in a way. Yeah. But aside from that, does it come down to who's more believable? Is it he or she?
I think that there is an element. I think you're putting your finger on something, because if for some reason the victim perceives herself or is perceived as vulnerable or lacking credibility, is a sort of a person who's had experiences that aren't sympathetic, it explains some skepticism by juries, and it definitely explains reluctance of victims to come forward and ask for help.
Yeah.
If they feel like the criminal justice system is not going to be the help that they want, or they're afraid that they won't be believed.
Yeah. Monte, we got to take a call here. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Monte Jewell.
Let me just ask a question. I think we get away from a lot of the issues. Of course, mental problems could be one, But what I see in our society, that a lot of men and young men and women go night clubbing, whatever, and they think by going with someone, thinking that they can make a relationship, they can take a chance of enjoying themselves for one night. It happens to the best of them, women like to go with guys and having whatever, and the men are the ego trip, Mental cases comes, you can tell more or less, if someone, I certainly can't, but I think a lot of it has to do with the society, the way it's set, and then going into a rape case. That's the problem, is too much media and too much television, and I think a lot of it has to do with that, So we have to be careful.
Caller, do you have a specific question? We got the gist of your comment. Do you have a question for our guest today?
Okay, a direct question is this: do you think a lot of it has to do with a mental issue part?
Thank you. I appreciate that phone call. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I do is the answer, and at Rape Counseling Services of Fresno, we're at rcsfresno.org. We respond 24 hours to victims who are concerned about traumatic experiences they've had resulting from unwanted sexual contact. Yeah. They're confidential calls, and we approach it almost purely as a mental health issue. Now, if there's help needed connecting to law enforcement or to a sexual assault forensic exam, we do that too. But initially, our goal is to create safety for everyone who contacts us, and to focus on what they want, and what feels safe to them.
So I guess the caller's question was, do most of these perpetrators do they have mental health issues? Is raping someone a mental health issue, or is it a behavior issue? Is it what? I can't pinpoint it. I don't know what it is. Can you?
It's difficult. That's a difficult question, and I did focus more on the victim.
Hang on,
because
caller.
that is where we focus our attention, is on the victims. But for perpetration, I don't think that mental health is uncommon per se, or mental health problems, but I also think that there are elements of entitlement sometimes. And, we get into that. There are cases where perpetrators feel that
they're entitled to it.
That they are entitled to the contact, that it's okay for them, and whether the other person wants it or not is maybe they're not as concerned about that question.
And in most cases, the male can overpower the female. I'm not saying in all cases, but in most.
Even if it's just a coercive kind of relationship,
right.
John, if you don't know what's going on in the person's mind, and if you don't pay attention to it, non-consensual sex can traumatize someone. It can lead to mental health issues. You can victimize them, and many defendants will say, that wasn't my intention, or I thought that she had consented. Well, the person is still injured, and so that's why we focus on creating that sense of safety for the victim.
So can there be a sense of misunderstanding when someone is caught in that situation, that, okay, I misunderstood the victim. I didn't know that she acted as if she wanted the same thing that I wanted, and there was a miscommunication. So are there innocent mistakes that can be made, as opposed to an all-out aggressive perpetrator that has that sense of entitlement?
Well, and let me be clear. At RCS, we listen to the victim who is calling. So
okay.
we believe in perpetrator accountability, and we leave the adjudication to the justice system.
Gotcha.
So it's very common, John. I think you're putting your finger on the most common defense when.
So miscommunication is no excuse.
It is, because it can still, non-consensual sex can still cause that mental health injury and other injuries. And
physical injury.
And definitely physical injuries.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't really help the victim to say, well, I thought that she really did. Most often they're female victims.
Well, the follow-up question to that would be, well, then how do you know for sure?
Well, we simplify it at RCS. If someone calls and they are asking for help, then we help them. We don't.
No, I'm saying if you're caught in a situation, let's say you go out night clubbing and you come home with, a couple comes home, how does that person know for sure if that young female, in fact, wants to engage in sexual intercourse?
Oh.
How do you know for sure? Is it talking to that person, communicating, saying, yeah, let's do it, or what is it? How do you know for sure?
Well, consent is the
So what
goal.
is consent?
And
is it verbally communicated?
It's well, I mean, you could say it's easiest probably when somebody says verbally, yes, I want to have sex. That would be the easiest.
Okay.
If you're in a situation where somebody has been drinking and they're intoxicated, then legally they're not able to give consent.
Okay.
And so if it's somebody you have just met, I'm not giving an opinion about
or advice.
Or advice. But if you've been drinking and they've been drinking, then consent.
Maybe it's best to stay away from it.
Well, it's a judgment call, but the risk that you might injure them, you might do something that's non-consensual, that they perceive it as non-consensual, even though you might think that it was consensual. It's safer, and if you care about them, you want to be safe.
It's really a fine line, but
it can seem like it. It can seem like it, but I think by erring on the side of
caution,
compassion, for the person, to make sure that you're very focused on what they really are consenting to. And
let's get on Monte here. Thank you. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to say, I got a lot of respect for what this guy does for talking to rape victims, because it's pretty tough for me. Me being a guy. But the thing is, what did you do to decompress? I mean, you talk to these people day in, day out. I mean, how do you not go into Charles Bronson mode and like Death Wish and just go out there and start being a vigilante, doing your own thing? When you see day in and day out what's going on, how some of these guys do get away with stuff, fall through the cracks. I mean, you guys probably have a lot of pressure, and I just, I would like to know, because my wife, without saying too much, but she works for the public defender's office, and sometimes, I mean, I talk to her, and she'll maybe mention, not the case or nothing, but what's going on. And when it comes down to rape, especially forcible rape, by, let's say, to a juvenile or something, and I can see how it affects her. And that's my question. How do you guys do it? How do you guys do it? And that's why I said, you guys, I have a lot of respect for you guys.
Okay, caller, the question is, how do you guys do what?
I understood the question is, how do we do the work, and is it hard to see people who are not held accountable after they've victimized someone? I've done the work, John, for a little over 20 years, and self-care is an important part of the work. I'm in more of an administrative role in the last 3 years, but I think another part of it is that violence, our goal is to prevent future violence and future trauma, and so more violence is not going to accomplish that prevention. It's only going to cause more trauma. So we try to focus on compassion and safety for the people who call us for help, and that makes the work, I wouldn't say that it makes the work easy, but it certainly makes the work more meaningful. And certainly anger is a very normal kind of a feeling, but then to act on it, if it's going to cause more trauma or more pain, then we wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, got to take a break here. 436-ME-TV, option 11, back with more of our show here. If I can gather my thoughts and try not to cough on the air. Back in a moment.
Frigidaire. It means the first electric refrigerator. The first compact electric range. Now, there's the Frigidaire Gallery Range with Symmetry double ovens. It's designed to cook multiple dishes at multiple temperatures, so you can prepare the entire meal at the same time. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hello, I'm John Walsh. The Justice Network is seen here in Fresno and made possible by the Ventura Broadcasting Company. To see how law enforcement all across Central California are fighting crime, watch Local Choice with Austin Reed, where you'll see interviews and special reports with those who keep us safe every day. Local Choice with Austin Reed, daily on the Justice Network, Fresno, exclusively on KVBC Channel 13.5.
With Monte Jewell, and exactly what is the name of what's the exact name of your company that you work with?
We're a nonprofit called Rape Counseling Services of Fresno.
Been around for?
Over 40 years.
Yeah.
rcsfresno.org is our website, and we go by RCS frequently. People
What's your
know us by
telephone
that.
number in case someone out there has been raped or watching this program or has been violated in any way? They need to call your number and get emergency help.
The number is 24 hours, and it's answered confidentially. So anyone calls, it's a secret call. By law, we keep it quiet. The number is 222-7273, 222-RAPE, anywhere in Fresno County.
222-7273.
That's the number.
Okay, all right. Rape, a very serious thing, nothing to laugh at. It goes underreported. We'll talk about that in a moment. Let's take the call. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Oh, yes, good morning. You know, as a woman and a mother of 2 daughters and 1 granddaughter, this really upsets me. What really bothers me is that when it comes to rape, there's a 5-year period in which whoever did the raping has to be prosecuted. Otherwise, after the 5 years, nothing can be done. Now, why is it that a lot of politicians, while they're out there campaigning for office, why don't they focus on this? You know, make it like murder, no, statute of limitation.
That's a great question.
What's the difference? I mean, a woman is violated. A lot of times they get killed, and why not focus on this?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Stay on the line there, if you will, caller. Is she right? There is no statute of limitations?
No,
Or there is?
I'm not able to speak to the specific statute of limitations, and my sense is that it can vary on circumstances, but the caller is right that there is a statute of limitations.
Is it 5 years,
And
7 years? Anybody know? I should
I'd
have
need
looked this up.
we'd need to find someone to ask, but I think it's a terrific question. But I would add also that the healing process from the trauma is independent of the criminal justice process, and so if there are individuals, particularly children, who have been traumatized by unwanted sexual contact, it's never too late to call and to seek safety and help and to
You
begin
deal
to
with the
address
victims.
it.
You don't deal with the perpetrators. The law enforcement deals with the perpetrators.
They
You don't talk to them. So you
No.
deal with the victims, and so that's why you need to call Monte or call his office. Ma'am, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Do you know anybody personally who's been raped or violated?
No, I don't. But that's why I say, there is a 5-year limit. So I think, like I was saying, politicians should focus on this, campaign for something like this.
All right.
That there's no limit as far as when it comes to rape. A woman, can get raped, or a young girl, and
right.
it's a lasting effect.
Oh my God! And all these, we're going to get into the college campus situations too, and it's happening on college campuses. And I have a young daughter; she's 12, and as you know, kids today are engaging in sexual activity more and more at a younger age. I know, caller, you probably know that too. You probably have kids, maybe grandkids. I don't know.
I have one granddaughter. She's 18.
Yeah, my daughter's 12. So it's something that we all think about as parents and grandparents and whatnot. So I thank you for the call, which brings up the notion here, as long as our executive producer, Ara Kachatourian, is upstairs watching the program and absolutely doing nothing but drinking coffee, he can maybe look up on the computer what the statute of limitations is for rape. Get back to us. Send me a text, and we'd like to pass that along to our viewers. I should have looked that up last night, but here's what I did look up. I want to put up the stats from the Fresno Police Department because this is going to shock you, my friends. Here it is right here. The crime report, the rape citywide here in the city of Fresno, up 72%. Look at that, Monte. In 2014, there were 62 rapes thus far. In 2015, 107. And just to note, down at the bottom of your screen, you see it there? Violent crime in the city of Fresno is up overall by 16.3%. Homicide down by more than 17. District 6 alone, that's Lee Brand's district, city councilman, 2014, there were 3 rapes. In 2015 so far, 15 rapes. Look at that graphic, and my goodness, we all should weep. What's your reaction?
Well, John, there is some good news there, and we're familiar with the work of Fresno Police Department.
Oh, I'm not blaming the Fresno Police Department.
Well, my point is that the reporting, we want there to be reporting because those are opportunities to help victims. What is more frightening is when if the numbers are too low, it's out of step with what we know about the public health research. And
but I want to give you, because I talked to Lieutenant Joe Gomez, the Fresno Police Department. I'm by no stretch of the imagination blaming the Fresno Police Department for this, not in any way, shape, or form. That has here's what Lieutenant Gomez told me. The increase in uniform rapes for 2015 has to do with the penal code. The current new definition is penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with the body part, an object, oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the victim. So it's no longer just consensual. I guess the only other term I could use is conventional sex. It could be penetration with an object. That is considered rape. And so when you factor all of these other things in, sodomy now is rape. Okay, so when you factor all those other things in there, that's why those numbers have gone up. So I just want to clarify that, historically the definition of rape is in the canal of the female body, forced against her will. And so when you add all these other factors in, that's the reason the numbers have gone up. It has nothing to do with the police department, it has to do with the penal code.
Well, and I think there probably it does speak in a positive way, in an additional sense that you've talked about. I wasn't thinking about the legal definitions, but I think it shows that people feel safe to contact the police department and request help, and they feel confident that there will be investigation and follow-up. And we have a new DA also, Lisa Smith-Camp, and I think she's made it very clear that she's serious about pursuing these crimes.
Yeah.
And so it's...
and when you see that number, 72% rise in crime, but it's, you know, it's shocking to see that, but now we know why. It's not because the number of cases by traditional rape have gone, it's because now you're talking about, okay, all these other factors. And I don't want to get into the specifics because it does get a little gross and grotesque.
Well, let me try take a stab at. You can tell me if you agree, but I think a simple.
Hang on, caller. Go ahead.
A way to simplify the issue would be to say, if you have contact, sexual contact, but any contact, but contact, and it's non-consensual contact, which would include coercive contact, you know, because you don't feel like you can say no for whatever reason, that's going to cause an injury. And we could define that injury as trauma, as we have, and then some portion of those traumatic injuries are also crimes, defined as crimes and investigated as crimes.
So if you make contact, no matter what it is, if it's with an object, if it's with a body part, if it's with anything, and it's non-consensual, that is considered rape, where that wasn't the case before, and that's why those numbers have been driven up. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it's not just rape is not just for girls. It happens to boys too. I mean, it happened to me when I was growing up by a family member, a female. Until I was old enough to just say, you know what, quit it, stop it already. I mean, I don't like this anymore. I mean, I'm gonna take it to my grave, but do you guys set up to talk to men who call up and say, you know what, this happened to me too? Because I know a lot of the focus is on women and girls. But it happens to men too, and you know what I mean. I'm not gay. It didn't turn me into something like, you know what I mean. Not to say there's anything wrong with that, but it's just the fact that I'm a grown man now, and it still pisses me off to this day.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, I need.
Thank you.
Sometimes I feel I need somebody that can understand a man's point of view, a guy or a young boy's now a man, and
all right.
And still give me the same information. That's just my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Monty, you want to pick that up?
Well, we do serve men also, and I appreciate the caller's bravery and willingness to share what an awful experience that he had. Its number as high as 1 in 6 men experience unwanted sexual contact. They do. Yes, and there's a national website called oneinsix.org, which offers help, and we also at rcsfresno.org try to offer help. But it's a surprising. Often when the man is younger, or you know, their circumstances are sometimes different, and men can be less willing to talk about it too.
Yeah, because they're embarrassed.
Yeah, and maybe have less experience naming their emotions and identifying when they feel injured.
Man, this is a topic we've not tackled before here on the show, and I'm glad you're here, Monty. We got to take a break. 436-ME-TV, option 11. The one and only Monte Jewell is here doing an outstanding job, you know, trying to help you, the community. And again, the phone number out there is, I want to give that out one more time.
It's 222-7273, RAPE, 222-7273.
Okay, let's go to break here on Connect with Me. Back in just a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenner, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
take a look at this. Let's play.
This is too hip for you. I'll slow down.
Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KBBC Digital Channel 13.7.
All right, our thanks to Ara Kachatourian, our executive producer here, looking this up for us. The statute of limitations for rape is 6 years unless it is an aggravated assault. That means you used a weapon like a knife or a gun or a baseball bat or something like that. So that's it, Monty. But should that law be changed?
Well, I don't know that a limit on a crime like rape serves a purpose. I would emphasize from
why
our
would it
perspective.
Be on the books? I mean, it doesn't make sense at all to me.
It's beyond my expertise, but I would want to say there's no statute of limitation on looking for help. It's very, very, very common for people who have experienced unwanted sexual contact years later to look for help, and that's okay to do.
Recently, I want to talk about college campuses because, we talked about Lauren Labrie. He was the prep school student, 18 years old at the time, a couple of years ago at St. Paul in New Hampshire, convicted of unwanted sexual advances and assault and all that kind of stuff. But he was found not guilty on the most serious of crime, that would be felony rape. So I want to talk about a new law that was established here in California. It's the Yes Means Yes law. Last year was signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown in 2014. California, the first state to pass that after he signed it, requires the universities and colleges across the state of California to investigate and evaluate complaints on sexual assault. It is called the Affirmative Consent Law. I want to put up some graphics up on the screen and exactly explain why this is in effect. Now leave that up there until we go through these each individually. These are the rules for college campuses and universities across the state. They apply only to colleges and universities. Consent must be voluntary. Consent to one type of sexual activity does not give consent to another. Consent to sexual activity on one occasion does not give consent to another occasion. Consent can be revoked at any time, can be revoked at any time. That means in the middle of a sexual act, she can revoke it and you're done. Am I correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah. All right. Change it to the next page if we can here. Consent cannot be given by someone who is asleep or incapacitated by drugs or alcohol. Consent cannot be given to someone under the age of 18. Someone with a disability may not be capable of giving consent, and the lack of protest or silence does not mean that you have consent. Do all these make sense? And these strictly apply to college campuses.
That's true. We have 5, I believe, community colleges and 1 CSU, and there are special rules. I understand because some of the help that students or campus-affiliated victims can get, it may have to do with changing classes or expulsion of the perpetrator or something of that nature. So they apply to campuses.
Right.
We still respond to support the campuses when they have these issues.
Absolutely.
And certainly the law, as I understood, was the only one like it in the country so far.
Yes. Yeah, it's the Yes Means Yes law.
Yes Means Yes.
Which means you have to have consent from start to finish.
Which makes a lot of, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. You would hope that you would have consent and that you would ask the other person, and if you don't have consent, you really are running the risk of injuring them, and it may not be a visible injury because it may be a mental health
could
trauma.
Be internal. Maybe a health problem. Somebody could be sick.
It's often going to be, if it's non-consensual, then there is a risk of mental health trauma. That's just how it is.
And then, of course, it was a local, and I won't mention the person's name. I mean, I can. It was highly publicized here in the city of Fresno. The Fresno firefighter who was accused of rape. The charges were dropped. There was not enough evidence. I remember reading about it in the newspaper, the Fresno Bee. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the case?
I don't.
Highly publicized here in the city of Fresno.
I don't know the facts of the case. Or the
I don't know all the
case.
facts either, just what I read in the paper. But he was acquitted. And so you have all kinds of cases like that where people, you know, they go clubbing, and then they want to come home with somebody, and then that's when the trouble starts. And it's been going on for years and years and years, but is that a dangerous practice in this day and age?
Well, I think one of the troubling situations that we have heard about has to do with, call it drug-assisted sexual assault, where somebody consumes a drink and it has Rohypnol or it has DBH or something in it, or the drink has more alcohol in it than the person expected, as a result of some intentional conduct by a perpetrator. They don't realize, you know, they're out to have fun, you know, that they are trying to have fun, and then suddenly they're more incapacitated than they expected, and they're assaulted. That is a type of concern that I think that the statute, you know, is intended to try to combat.
Yeah, you're talking about drugs and alcohol and being incapacitated.
Right.
Because you're under the influence. And we're going to talk more about that on the other side of the break, Monty. We'll talk about Bill Cosby and his troubles with rape, and maybe he's brought the issue of rape to light more than it ever would have been had you know, these allegations not come forward and all these people come forward in terms of accusing Bill Cosby of not only rape but drugging them while they were, you know, in his presence. So 436-ME-TV, option 11, back in just a moment.
The Justice Network is here. If you haven't tuned in, you're missing a great lineup of gripping stories of real crime, plus an unprecedented effort by viewers like you to play an active role in making your community safer. You can help support law enforcement by providing information that may lead to the apprehension of dangerous criminals or find a missing child. Great shows and your chance to fight crime, only on the Justice Network.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Back here on the program on Connect With Me on MeTV Fresno, let's put up a picture of Bill Cosby. Highly publicized, of course. In your opinion, what do you make of this? That's question one. And question two is, would we be talking about this as much had it not been for Bill Cosby? Has he brought this issue to light?
Certainly this story has shined a light on a situation where you have multiple victims complaining about one perpetrator.
More than 20.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think it was above 30 when I had checked.
Maybe above 30, yeah. It might be above 30 now. There's Bill Cosby there, of course, as we all know. And one of his interviews conducted not long ago when someone was questioning him about these allegations. And what do you make about this case? This is about allegations regarding drugs, alcohol. You put me under the influence. You raped me. You had sex with me. These are the allegations against him. What do you make of this, Monty?
It's troubling, John. The most I think it goes without saying that most men are not rapists, but most rapes are committed by men, and on occasion you have serial rape, and if for some reason the perpetrator is not someone who is believed to be
a celebrity
rapist or assaulting people, and
wouldn't Bill Cosby be the last person you'd think of?
I've read. I don't know that I've read an article where they didn't comment on that phenomenon at some point. Well, how could he have done this?
He'd be the last person on the face of the earth that you'd think would be, you know, there's his wife there, Camille.
If there are vulnerable victims that are identified and somebody who is perpetrating against people who are, because they are vulnerable or because the perpetrator thinks that they will not be believed, they can target them with a particular method, and in the allegations in this case were these sorts of drug-assisted
In his case, was it power
assaults.
and influence over the victims?
That I have heard that reported, that because he was perceived to have influence to maybe help somebody with their career, or because the victim was young, or, I mean, and the allegations are, it's hard to speak to it because there is pending litigation, but certainly you have a lot of the sort of troubling indicators present in those accounts.
Monte, how do you help your victims, the victims that come to you at your place?
Well, there are 86 sexual assault programs across California. We're one of them. And so anytime anyone calls us 24 hours a day, we respond by trying to create a sense of safety. We do that with crisis intervention, counseling, and then even, if needed, in-person accompaniment, whether it's to a sexual assault forensic exam or
do you get law enforcement involved?
We do. We follow what the caller wants, and so it's confidential. And we certainly explain to them the advantages of working with law enforcement, but we let them make the decision in nearly every situation, unless we think that somebody's in personal danger or something of that nature. So
any potential victims that are out there watching right now should not be afraid to come forward and call your number.
Oh, no. They should definitely feel safe to
number
call
again?
Us. It's 222-7273, and it's on our website, rcsfresno.org.
What if they wanted to talk to you personally? Could they?
I don't typically take calls because the job I'm doing now is the administrative job, but I have had some folks who have reached me, and I have helped clients.
You have such a calm demeanor, and
Well,
I think it could be your voice.
Thank you.
Could be a calm. You'd have a. You know, it's been tense on the set here today, and you've had a calming effect on me, actually. So I appreciate that very much. So I think you're in the right position. But again, the telephone number is?
It's 222-7273, RAPE.
All right. Quickly, why is rape? I mentioned that rape is underreported. Why?
Because people feel ashamed, or they understandably want to put a negative experience behind them, and they don't realize that the symptoms of the mental health trauma will follow them through their life.
Do most people, like me, I mentioned in the monologue, when we think of rape, we think of third world countries, or we think of World War, or we think of these genocides that have happened across the course of time and history, and we don't think it's going on in our own neighborhoods, our own, friends might be involved in it. Am I right about that?
Well, I think you said something at the top of the show about the UC Merced stabbings. The violence, non-consensual conduct that injures other people, it's everywhere. It's all over the world, and we need to combat it where we find it.
Monte Jewell, you've been an outstanding guest here on the program.
Thank you, John.
I really appreciate it. Hope you come back.
I enjoyed it very much. I would like to.
Maybe bring one of your counselors next time.
That would be terrific. They're wonderful.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Monte Jewell. And the name of your organization again is the Fresno Rape Counseling Center, right?
Yes, it's Rape Counseling Services of Fresno, rcsfresno.org.
Okay, gotta go. See you tomorrow here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. 5 stabbed at UC Merced. The suspect shot and killed by campus police. More on that tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Have a great day.